Good morning, San Antonio. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Alamo City Sportscast. Mike is trying to join us right now. He's having technical difficulties, so at some point he'll join us so we can go ahead and give him some shit for the flip-flop that he did yesterday, saying that the Spurs were punting earlier in the season, which they are clearly not. Spurs in the midst of a 4-game win streak. Again, we are broadcasting to you live from beautiful West San Antonio. Budo Exit 7 in the house here. I just want to say good morning to Matt Lerma, Sam Salinas, Mario Cavazos. Our usual suspects are in the house. Sith Lord Elias. And we are joined by Mike Jimenez here.
What's going on?
What's going on?
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Perfect, man. Good morning, man. It's a great day, baby. Spurs, we're going streaking. 4 in a row, Joe. 4 in a row.
4 in a row. Spurs are streaking. And I'm waiting for you to go ahead and give us the flip-flop. I know the flip-flop's coming here somewhere.
We'll figure it out, man. We'll see if I flip flop on anything today. But man, it's a good day, man. Spurs now 10-8, 8-5 under Mitch Johnson. Spurs winning without Vassell, winning without Sochan. Mitch Johnson doing an amazing job coaching right now. Whether or not you were a big fan of Pop or not, the fact of the matter is we're winning. We all should celebrate.
We celebrate. We're celebrating the Spurs victory. The Spurs have a 4-game win streak, something that we have not seen as a Spurs fans for quite some time. Spurs fans are all excited this morning. I know I am as well. We haven't experienced this, as I said. It's a new feeling. Yes, it's okay to enjoy the win streak. I'm sure that, Spurs fans are still going at each other. They're going to be calling out the unfaithful, the flip-floppers, and everybody else that was shitting on the team early on in the season, and now they're doing great. And I know it's going to be coming, Mike. So what do you have to say about the win streak?
Well, first of all, the win streak is impressive for a variety of different reasons. First and foremost, the offense now goes through Wemby. And that is the number one coaching change that Mitch Johnson has done. It's basically saying, look, you do realize that we have a unicorn over here. You do realize that we have a generational talent over here and that he should be shooting the ball 20, 25, 30 times a game. And I think that, you go back in time to talk about what makes this a good lineup. It's not the 5 best players; it's the 5 players that work best. And Champagne is doing good defensively. He's knocking down some threes from time to time. Harrison Barnes winning the Player of the Week for the Western Conference. Joe, you and I had a conversation before the show. Before I had technical difficulties, we had a conversation before the show. And we asked the question to each other, who's the starting lineup going to be 2 months from now? Because we know that Wemby's the starter. We know that CP3, if healthy, is a starter. We know that Harrison Barnes is a starter, which leaves us with 4 players. Sochan, Vassell, Castle, Champagne. 2 of them are going to start. 2 of them are coming off the bench. And Joe, you and I were going back and forth about this. And do you want to enlighten people as to what we came up with?
Yeah, we're saying that maybe Sochan starts off the bench. You go ahead and insert, Stefon Castle. You leave him in the lineup right where he's at. Think he's earned that slot. Kid's playing amazing right now. And you go ahead and have Wemby starting. You have Chris Paul out there. You have Harrison Barnes. Of course, you're going to pair them with Wemby. So, I mean, that's a big dilemma that you have right now. Is Devin Vassell going to be inserted in the lineup? If he is, then you got to go ahead and sit Stefon Castle.
No, you can't.
What are you going to do?
Castle's starter. They say in certain sports that you don't lose your starting position because of injury, right? But the Spurs aren't good enough to require that, right? If you are a good starter, you're a good starter. And it's funny because, the season evolves over time. And I'm of the belief that if Sochan was healthy and Vassell was healthy and Pop was coaching, this team wouldn't be 10-8. They're 10-8 because circumstances happen. Certain players stepped up. We had a young head coach come up and taken seriously. And it's funny because people reach out to me. It's funny what people say to me on Twitter versus what they say to me in person, right? They come after me on Twitter, but then they have a real conversation with me over the phone or by text message or by DM. And I'm not going to go off and say what people are saying. That they bag on me on Twitter, but man to man, they go, you know what, Jimenez, this is probably a lot of right in what you're saying. Fact of the matter is that
myself in person. I haven't heard that in person yet.
What's that?
That you're right. They tell you you're right in person.
Oh no, and I get nice phone calls from several people. I get DMs from people, and it's funny, but I'm not going to like share that. You know that those are all private conversations. But the fact of the matter is that circumstances changed. The circumstances changed, and the fact of the matter is that we have to take a look at it for what it is. What it is that we're seeing right now is a team rally around a young coach. We're seeing a young coach who nips things in the bud. He doesn't let things play out. You see, I tweeted yesterday, Joe, I love Mitch Johnson's timeouts. He doesn't let the game get away from it. He doesn't let the game get away. He calls timeouts to prevent runs from happening as opposed to letting the run happen. And a lot of people were offended when I said that Mitch Johnson's a better coach than Greg Popovich. On November 27th, 2024, and also on November 5th, 2024, Mitch Johnson was the better head coach. Doesn't mean historically he is. Pop is an all-time great. Pop is on the Mount Rushmore of coaches, right? But at some point, you're no longer the GOAT. At some point, you're just a guy. And that's the thing about it, is that Pop was washed, and Mitch Johnson's coming in, and they're rallying around him. Now we're getting this evidence, Joe, of the Spurs playing better without Devin Vassell, which I didn't think was possible. We're seeing this evidence of the Spurs playing better without Sochan, which I kind of suspected would be the case. As much as I like Sochan's fire, and I wish that everybody had his heart, he needs to come off the bench. He needs to give us 25 minutes off the bench, because that second lineup there, Joe.
Yeah.
Especially, let's say that we have a second lineup there of Trey Jones, Vassell, Sochan, Bassie, and Booty Crumbs. That's not a bad second lineup, because we know that the best lineup, we have Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs and Ken's 5 coming up and saying that Champagny, along with Barnes, along with what was the lineup there again? It was CP3, Castle, Champagny, Barnes, and Wemby. That was the best 5 starting lineup, and that's fact. That's not eye test. That is actually fact. There is data to support that. And Joe, you look at the stats of Victor Wembanyama when he's with Sochan and when he's not with Sochan. Joe, is Wemby an all-star with Sochan in the lineup? The stats don't suggest it.
Is Wemby an all-star with Sochan in the lineup? Here's the thing. Here's the pushback that I'm going to give you for that. We haven't seen this team at full strength, even with Sochan in the starting lineup yet. So to say that the team is better without him, we don't really know that yet. We don't know what the team looks like with the healthy squad. We still haven't seen Vassell, Sochan, and the usual starting 5 that the Spurs would put out there. We haven't seen them play together thus far this season.
Joe, I'm glad that I'm outside doing the show, because this is where I'm going to backtrack a little bit. Okay? Call it a flip-flop. You know what? Play the video of the flip-flop, please. I'll do it to myself.
The chanclazo.
Yeah, let's. This is not a flip-flop. This is an evolution of a thought. Spurs fans want Sochan to be part of this team and be a big part of this team, and they want him to succeed. That's fine. I want him to succeed too. Maybe Mitch Johnson utilizes Jeremy Sochan better than Pop does. Maybe that's the case. Because we've seen Mitch Johnson with an 8-5 record take over a team that was floundering, that was getting decimated by injuries at that point. Maybe, just maybe, Mitch Johnson is what Sochan needs. Maybe, just maybe, Sochan does fit well with Victor Wembanyama, but they need to do him differently. Not have that point guard experiment, which was an absolute failure last season. Not have him do anything other. I think Mitch Johnson could maybe get the best out of Sochan. So I'm going to backtrack that a little bit, because things change. The way that they were, this was a 25-win team the way that it was. Things changed. Stefon Castle has stepped up. We have a new head coach. Things changed. You can't stick to a take when things change, right? So I'm hopeful that Mitch Johnson gets the best out of Sochan. That says, "Hey, look, Jeremy, this is what we need from you. We don't need all of this. We need you to focus on this." So maybe, just maybe, Sochan is a good part of this team down the road. But the way that he plays with Pop, with what Wemby does now, because the evidence is there, Joe. Joe, they've played 20 games without each other. Wemby averaged 18 points per game this year with Sochan in the lineup. He's averaging close to 30 without him. Last year was the same thing. 21 points with him, 27 points without him. He goes from a borderline all-star to an all-NBA player when Sochan's not on the court. So either one or two things needs to happen. Either Sochan doesn't need to be there, or Sochan is implemented in a different way.
Yeah, well, let's put some respect on Coach Pop's name, because right now, Mitch Johnson, he's actually living in the house that Coach Pop built. So let's get that straight right now. Mitch Johnson is nothing more than the interior decorator. He's come in the house, moved some things around, but this is still Coach Pop's house. We still haven't seen what Mitch Johnson will be able to do in the context of just him taking over the team, saying, "This is my team now." If the Spurs decide to give him that head coaching job, let him move on and have a whole coaching season under him. Right now, he's stepping in for Coach Pop, but every win that he's getting is going to go under Coach Pop's record. And the thing is that he's executing the game plan that they've all had in place. And it's not just Coach's Pop's game plan. The other coaches as well, they've all had this game plan in place. Now it's just coming to fruition. We don't know if the team would have still had this win streak had Coach Pop been healthy enough to coach the team this season. So saying that it's all Mitch Johnson, I think, is sacrilege.
Well, I respectfully disagree.
I know you do.
I disagree because you go to the games, Mitch Johnson's not asking Brett Brown for help. Mitch Johnson isn't going around asking the fourth assistant head coach down the way for help. Mitch Johnson's running that team on his own. And yeah, it's the players that Pop has. And he does, the thing about like being part of Pop's tree, and it's beyond Pop. I mean, you could have the tree of Bill Belichick, which happens in the NFL. You get, whenever you have a mentor, Joe, in any respect, it doesn't matter if it's sports, doesn't matter, me in finance. Dude, I've had a mentor in radio, I've had a mentor in TV, I've had a mentor in finance, right? My mentors were Rob Thompson and James Pledger, right? Those are my two biggest mentors over there. Did I do it exactly like them? No, but I got a foundation of them. When I was on TV, my mentor was Greg Simmons. My mentor was Brandon Ralston over at Ken's.
The OG, triple OG, Greg Simmons.
Did I do it like them? No. My mentors in finance are Robert Canali and people like that. Do I do it like them? No. But you get the foundation from them, and then you put your own spin to it, right? The foundation, obviously, of this team that you have with Mitch Johnson is obviously Pop. Pop is the foundation of what he's doing. But to go off and say that Mitch Johnson is not coaching his team, or it's by committee, that's disrespectful towards Mitch Johnson. Because Mitch Johnson is doing his own thing. He has the base, the framework is there, which was designed by Pop, which was designed by R.C. Buford and Brian Wright. That is true. That's actual and factual. He has that foundation. But to say that he's doing the exact same thing that Pop would have been doing is not true. He's calling timeouts differently. He's running different plays, running different lineups. He's doing it differently. He's taking the ingredients and making a whole different type of dish. That's what he's doing. We're seeing an emergence here of Stefon Castle. You talk about Castle. 20 points last night. He leapfrogged over 3 players yesterday, is now the third highest scoring rookie so far this season. I think he's like 11.6 points per game. What did we say he was going to average, Joe, before the season started? You and I both said the exact same number. He was going to average 12. We both said 12, so he's inching closer and closer to that. Right now, FanDuel has him at plus 750 when it comes to Rookie of the Year honors. the third best odds right now. NBA rookie ladder comes out today by NBA.com. I want to see where they place him. He better be in the top 5. He was at number 6 last week. He was unranked, went to number 10, was at number 6 as of last week. The guy is improving his shot. He plays great defense. And what I love about him is that he will do what it takes to win. If you need him to score, he'll go to try to score. If you need him to be the ball facilitator, he'll do that. You need him to lock down somebody on defense. He is the Swiss Army knife on this Spurs team. But whenever you have a Swiss Army knife type of player, like in baseball, they say that you're a jack of all trades but a master of none. That's not the case with Stefon Castle. He's a very good passer, very good ball handler. He can get to the bucket. He is a very good defender. He can do all sorts of things. He's like a 4 or 5 tool player. His shooting is improving, and his shot was never broken. Okay, you and I talked about this, Joe, and Fernandez was on Twitter asking about this, talking about how people said that he couldn't shoot. There's a different way of looking at it, in my eyes, is that his shot was never broken. It just needed to be tweaked. There's certain shots that you have out there that are so broken that you can tell that they have to like rebuild the shot. Castle and Wemby, they just weren't going in. There was something off. It had to be tweaked, but the form was there. Castle, man, Castle's going to be an all-star at some point in his career.
Be an all-star. He's a special kid. Even some of the other NBA veterans, they've all said that Stefon Castle, including LeBron James, said that he's going to be a special type of player. We do got an incoming super chat from the Drew Show. Thank you, Drew. We appreciate you supporting the show, man.
Yeah, so he says Cardio Champagne's transition to Danny Green 2.0 has begun. Drew Show says Danny transferred his chi to Julian last night. 3-and-D Warrior. Double grito, por favor. Again, last night we saw Danny Green do the color analyst right there. He's now a new member of ESPN. He wanted the grito. He paid for the grito. Let's give the Drew Show what he's asking for.
Presumir a mis amigos les conté que en el amor.
I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to ask you a legit question.
Yeah.
Game yesterday, and you heard Danny Green, right? Doing the play-by-play commentary there. What'd you think of him?
He was nervous. I thought he did I thought he got better as the game went on, but you could tell early on he was a little bit nervous.
He was a little bit nervous. I understand that, but he was also one thing that we can't forget. Very knowledgeable, by the way.
Yeah.
The way that he was calling the play-by-play and sharing some, information that he was seeing there. But I got to tell you, man, you could tell that he was he still needs some seasoning, man. He was a little boring. I'm going to be honest, man. I thought he was a little too vanilla for me. He was a little too boring, dude. You couldn't see he didn't have that energy in the voice, like, oh my God, this is what's going on the court right now. It just didn't happen right then and there, but it's his first attempt. Right. So I was going to come out a little, rusty, nervous and whatnot, but I'm hoping that as he gets better, because he's already been signed on, I believe, with ESPN to do to be an NBA analyst with them. So good for Danny Green. I'm happy that he's moving on and he's getting his time to be an NBA analyst. But yeah, man, it was a little rough yesterday. I'm not gonna lie.
Do you know who I'm liking? I'm liking Jacob Toby.
I like Jacob Toby. Brings the energy.
Yeah, he didn't wear the bolo tie yesterday. If the Spurs had lost yesterday, I was going to give him crap about that because the streak started with his bolo ties. I like that the whole youth movement when it comes to it. Bill Land has been going through a lot, and he retired earlier this season, right before the season started. And a lot of people were fans of Bill Land, and I was all right with him. I mean, I thought he was good. I didn't think that Bill Land was the greatest of all time, but I liked him. I liked him.
Phrases, whoa, mama, Wemby, come on, dude.
It was all right. It was good.
Man. You can't.
It was good.
Nothing good here. You hate everything, San Antonio.
Who is the guy that did radio for the Spurs back in the day. He had a beard.
Yo, Bill Schoening.
No, well, Bill Schoening was really good. I liked Bill Schoening a lot. But who was that one guy with with a rough voice? He had that white beard. He did radio play-by-play for the Spurs when I was growing up. I forgot his name. Huh?
They're saying Jay Howard.
Jay Howard, dude. Jay Howard was the GOAT, man. I loved Jay Howard when he did his shows and we did his play-by-play and all that stuff. Jay Howard was the man. Angel coming out and saying, dude, seriously on Bill Land? I like Bill Land. Bill Land was fine. I mean, he was good. I'm not going to put him as top tier, but he was good. He was good.
Vane Stain, he's saying the same thing. Oh, mama, Wembyama should be back. I miss it. We need to get the soundbite for that, man, and play it. And we're going to show Wembyama highlight, man.
What you got?
And look at this. We got Jay Howard. They're saying Jay
Celine
Howard.
Dion's husband did look like him. Jay Howard was so good, man. Jay Howard was the man. They forced him out, didn't they? He didn't want to leave. But Jay Howard had a great voice. Bill Schoening had an amazing voice. Those guys I really, really liked. I'm not trying to rank them, but if I had to, I would put those two above Bill Land. Bill Land was fine. But this Toby kid, he might be the voice of the Spurs for a long, long time. You look at these young guys, Joe. Going back to Mitch Johnson, you and I had this conversation earlier today over the phone. The idea that Spurs fans have of, well, let's have Mitch Johnson marinate for 2 more years. God, I see that all the time on Spurs Twitter. Let's have him marinate for 2 more years, and then we'll bring him in and all that stuff. Dude, do you know how many teams right now are salivating over Mitch Johnson right now?
Oh,
there's probably 4 or 5 teams that are looking over at the Spurs right now going, if you don't sign him, we will. And what's going to happen if that happens, Joe? Imagine that scenario. Imagine Pop comes back from his stroke, and he's close to 100%, right? Let's say he gets to 95%. Decides that he wants to come back, and Mitch Johnson, after leading this team to a play-in tournament, which, by the way, the Spurs right now are 10th in the West. Let's say that he does that. Let's say that he gets this team to a 41 wins, right? And we never thought that the Spurs would have a 500 record or better. Never thought they'd make the play-in tournament this year. Let's say that he does that, Joe. And then Mitch Johnson leaves. Why would the Spurs run the risk of that?
The Drew Show says Jay Howard was San Antonio's own Ron Burgundy.
He was. If there was a Ron Burgundy, San Antonio, this definitely was him.
Man. And look at, we got Gert joining us from the Netherlands. Good to see you, Gert. Hope you're doing great, brother. By the way, I know he's been having some health-related issues, so I always get you in our thoughts and prayers, man. And Sean Quintero says about Mitch Johnson, they're throbbing for him. You got to retire that. That's disgusting, man.
Dude, Mitch Johnson's throbbing as a coach right now, man. I don't know. 8-5 as a head coach. 8-5. 8-5. And that's the thing, Joe, is that as time comes up, one of the bad arguments that people have on Spurs Twitter or whatnot is that they'll say either A, we'll never know, or they'll say, but we don't have enough evidence. Right? That's what I get right now about Sochan being a bad fit with Wemby. We don't have enough evidence. Every game that goes by and Wemby's getting 30 points per game. Wemby, I'm going to call up his stats right now. Wemby's last 5 games. The dude's averaging 30 points, right? He's 23.6 points for the last 5 games. Last 10 games, right? 52% from the field, 43% from 3. Give me a 10-game stretch in which Wemby had a 52% from the field, 43% from 3, 77% from the free throw line, 10.3 rebounds, averaging 4 assists, 3.5 blocks, 1.5 steals, and just 1.9 fouls per game. And oh, by the way, last 7 games, Wemby's averaging 29.6 points.
Yeah, this last game.
Last 7 games, 29.6 points, Joe, including a 50-point game and a 30-point game. He plays like an all-pro right now with Sochan not out there. Let's see when he gets healthy again. January, you thinking that Sochan's going to be back? Let's see how Mitch Johnson puts him in the lineup. And maybe Mitch Johnson says, hey, Jeremy, how about we not shoot the ball 15 times? Why don't we let that other dude, the 7'4" guy, shoot the ball? Why don't you just go rebound? Go rebound, set picks, and play defense. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Mitch, though, Mitch is doing a great job in absence of one Coach Pop, but let's not forget again, that this isn't just all him. And they've said as much as well. Like, it's not just me. Other Spurs fans have said the same thing. The thing that Mitch Johnson is executing is the vision that the coaching staff has had in play, including Coach Pop. But the success that he's having isn't just all him out there. He's also having assistance from the other coaching, let's say, staff that is out there with him as well. So it's not just all him. It's by committee, man. They're all wanting to go ahead and execute the vision that Coach Pop had. Mitch is putting his own spin on it, which he has the right to do. He's the acting head coach right now, the San Antonio Spurs. I'm happy with the way everything is going. I'm happy with the style of coaching, the coaching style that Mitch portrays out there on the court. He's in tune with these younger players. He's, younger coach. He is more animated. He's getting out there. He's more vocal, all these things. You love to see all that. But at the end of the day, again, this is something that has been built upon the foundation that Coach Pop has laid out. So I'm always going to say that, you know what, until they finally say, hey, this is your team officially. We've given you the reins. You're the head coach. This is still Coach Pop's vision. I still think it's sacrilege to say that Mitch is a better coach than Coach Pop. We don't know that for sure yet. It's still Coach.
We're watching it. We're watching it. We're watching it.
We're watching Pop's plan, Mike. That's the thing.
Dude, Pop's vision has been 5 losing seasons in a row. 22-60, 22-60 last 2 seasons. Now, one of them was a tank season. One of them was a tank season. He was not, dude. Mitch Johnson is a better head coach on November 27, 2024 than Pop is. That's not sacrilegious. That is just obvious. It's you know what? People don't want to have hard truths. That's the thing. Who's Bill Belichick coaching right now? Bill Belichick, who's the GOAT of NFL coaching. Who's he coaching right now?
Bygone era. I get that. That's why they're not going ahead and they're not having him on any coach right now, coaching any team right now. But the thing is, the Spurs do believe in Coach Pop, because if they didn't, he wouldn't be out there being the head coach of said team. Whether you like it or not, Mike, at the end of the day,
do you remember
move away from him? You don't think they would have done that
already? Do you remember The Athletic had a poll of all the coaches and players and front office people, and they asked the question, who is the best coach in the NBA this year? Not of all time. They would have said Pop and Phil Jackson and whatnot. And they were asking of this year, 2024. How many votes did Pop get from across the NBA? For people who say, Mike, you don't know ball. These are NBA executives. How many votes did he get?
That I don't know. I haven't checked.
Not a damn one. Not a damn one. There is nobody in NBA coaching circles that believe that Pop was a good coach anymore. And it's sad. And look at it this way. It happens to coaches the same way that it happens to players. Tony Parker was washed up when he ended his career, right?
He was in Charlotte.
He was washed up. David Robinson, 2003, limped. I'm glad that he went out a champion. He was washed as well, man. He was physically he was spent. He couldn't do anymore. If he wanted to play another season, he couldn't. He was done.
He played and he won a championship. He went out on his own terms. He knew that this was going to be his last season. He had already said as much.
Right.
He won the championship. He won the chip and said, "That's it. Whether we win or lose, I'm going out."
Right. But he was done. He was done. He was done. His back couldn't let him go anymore.
Well,
I will say this about Manu and Tim. Manu and Tim never appeared washed. They were not as good as they once were. But when they exited and they had their last season with the Spurs, they were still above average. They were still pretty good players. We probably could have got another season or two out of Tim. We probably could have got another season or two out of Manu. But they did not enter wash status. They left at the right time, right? But you say it's sacrilegious to say things about Pop when it comes to it. Like, it's X's and O's. We're talking sports, right? I don't want anything bad to happen to him. I hope that he recovers, right? But to look at Mitch Johnson and say they're implementing the vision of Popovich and all that is so fantastical. yes, you have the foundation, and the acorn doesn't fall far from the tree. But Mitch Johnson's doing something different. He's doing something different. Or maybe he's just getting to the players differently. Joe, I tweeted a while back that Pop was yelling at CP3, and CP3 was ignoring him. I've yet to see CP3 ignore Mitch Johnson. For whatever reason, he's getting through to the players differently. And it's not a respect factor. It's just an understanding better.
You don't think nothing to do with the leadership out on the court with both CP3 and Harrison Barnes?
Oh man, you know what? And this is something where I'll say that I was wrong. I will admit that I was wrong. Now, here's about CP3. CP3 will miss 20 to 25 games per season. So far this year, even though he had hurt his thumb the other day, he has played every game. He's doing very well. One of the league leaders in assists. He's turning back the clock. He's healthy for once. And if he can stay healthy throughout most of the season, then I was big time wrong on that, Joe. Big time wrong on that.
You said they were punting, and I had said that yesterday. Remember when Mike said the team was punting because they added CP3? I said, I remember.
Yeah, Joe, and I'll find the video on this because it's not that hard to find because I know what episode it was.
Yeah,
I did say that, and in part of what I was saying when I said it was punting, I also was talking about the fact that the Spurs were not going to get a superstar that year. You know, the Spurs were, because they had done that move for CP3, they no longer had the ability to go out and get a Lauri Markkanen. They no longer had the ability to get a Trae Young anymore. It killed any opportunity to get a superstar for the future. This season is a little bit of a punt. Not as bad as I thought it was going to be. And I walked it back the next day, Joe, because the next day I brought up the fact that the Spurs had a same situation going on with SGA in Oklahoma City. SGA played shooting guard to Chris Paul's point guard in SGA's second year in the league. SGA was the second team All-NBA player, All-NBA rookie player his rookie season.
I coach Pop, but he's part of the CP3 coaching tree here, or the tree of CP3 because he influenced him. He was a mentor to Shai.
Yeah, and it is at that point. It wasn't yesterday. Yeah. It was literally 24 hours after they signed Chris Paul that you and I had this conversation. I said, well, you know what? I love Castle so much, and Castle's been my guy since like December. And even Jeff Garcia from Lockdown Spurs realizes that I was talking about Stefon Castle months leading up to the draft, saying that the Spurs need to get that guy. Yeah. I remember, Joe, you and I having this conversation. I thought to myself, you know what? CP3 taught and mentored SGA. What better mentor to have for Castle? So what did I say at the time? And I'll find the video for it, Joe. I said, okay, I'm fine with it. Now I know where the Spurs are going with this season. It is going to be leadership on the court to get Castle going. And you know what? You know what the blessing is, Joe? And this is sacrilegious to say. No. The blessing is...
Don't say it, man.
Sochan and Vassell's injury have been a blessing to this team.
Well,
because we wouldn't have had Castle starting.
Yeah,
well, Castle's development accelerated because of those injuries. I hate to say it, but Sochan getting hurt, Vassell remaining hurt. That's what brought out the best out of Castle.
We got an incoming super chat from the Drew Show. Thank you, Drew. Again, we appreciate you, man, for all you do for the show here and supporting us. $5.47. I know there has to be something to the $5.47. I'm going to tweet to him or ask him privately on Twitter when I respond to him here. It says, if Mitch was a wrestler and Jimenez was his manager, the WLE package of FUD with Popovich,
a feud
with Popovich would be Kane's power, run-ins with Lerma and Sith, etc.
Yeah, everyone says that. Somebody said that on Twitter. I don't know who it was. Said that I would make a good wrestling announcer heel. I have no idea what that means. But the Spurs won last night, taking on Utah. It's the fourth time they played the Jazz. They won 3 of the 4. And Spurs are now 10-8 right now, 10th best record in the Western Conference, which is stellar. They're in line right now to become, if the season were to end right now, one of the play-in teams, which is amazing. Meantime, you see that the Atlanta Hawks have lost 4 games in a row. So that pick is getting a little bit better as time goes on.
Yeah, we're getting Jeff Garcia ready to go here. I got to go ahead and send him the link because I forgot when we do the show with this other system, which I'm not a fan of, but I mean, it does have its usefulness when we're doing remotes and bringing in remote guests, is Jeff can't hear us because of the audio. I can't do the loop back because if I do, he's going to hear himself twice.
So right now, by the way, as you bring them on, right now, according to Tankathon.com, the Spurs would have in line to have the 7th pick in the draft because Atlanta right now has the 7th worst pick, and the Spurs have that unprotected pick. So the Spurs draft pick would be number 14 right now, and the Spurs also have the possibility of getting Chicago's top 10 protected pick. Right now, Chicago is tied with the 9th worst record in the league right now, so inching closer to being in that territory of the Spurs being able to swoop up and get that one.
Yeah, I shared some information about the Spurs and their record currently right now and where they're standing as far as the Western Conference goes.
Mm-hmm.
Latest conference in NBA Western Conference standings have the Spurs as 10th overall in the Western Conference. They are tied right now with the Dallas Mavericks at 10-8. So great for them, man. If they had to start the play-in tourney, I think they might be in. All right, we're going to go ahead and bring Jeff on now. Jeff, you're here with us, man. Thanks for joining the show. Appreciate you.
What's good, not a problem, guys. No, sorry, I'm late, man. It's just, holidays and work, got to wrap up. So, delays.
Yeah, so anyway, we're discussing the Spurs, and Mike is, of course,
being Mike.
Having to throw Coach Pop under the bus once again.
Yeah.
I didn't. You know what?
I was listening, Mike, and I do have to push back on you regarding Mitch Johnson and him running the show. He has openly said he is not completely running the show.
Yeah, because what else is he going to say? What else is he going to say?
Well,
what else is he going to say?
He's going to lie. He's going to lie. So you rather have your truth versus his truth?
Yes, because what else is he going to say? What else is he going to say? Do you think Mitch Johnson's going to say? Do you think Mitch Johnson?
You're listening to him. And,
yeah.
Okay, so Jimenez knows all.
Players and coaches lie, dude. Players and coaches lie. They don't tell the truth to the media. We have discussed this, Joe. Jeff, we have Joe and Jeff.
He's on the court.
We have talked. Yeah. Because what we're really going to hear. What we're really going to hear is we're going to hear Mitch Johnson walk in and go, yeah, I'm kind of doing my own thing right now. I mean, I understand Papa's doing certain things, but I'm changing the way that we're doing it. And this is my team now. He's not going to say that. He's auditioning for a job. Nothing he tells he's auditioning for a job.
Okay.
It's PR.
Are you in the locker room and in practices? Are you in the sidelines during games?
I'm at games.
Okay, Dennis is at games, Joe, so that means he knows all.
Yeah. I see that earpiece that he wears, right? Because Mitch Johnson evidently wears an earpiece telling him what to do, right? No. Mitch Johnson's coaching those games to victory.
Let me tell you, all of us on Media Row, even today's guests on Locked On Spurs, we all agree they're doing it. They're coaching by committee right now. It just, Don Popovich does like Mitch. He does like his future as a potential head coach, and is shaping up to be that way. But they are. Look, he's a rookie head coach for all intents and purposes. He's a rookie head coach. It's going to, we talk about how Steph Castle has Chris Paul. Hey, it's good to have Brett Brown next to a young coach like Mitch Johnson. So Brett
Brown with many years of experience over at the Philadelphia 76ers.
Exactly.
Let me ask you this question, Jeff. Do you think that if the Spurs don't offer the permanent gig to Mitch Johnson, do you think that other teams will try to pry him away?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, look, they almost did last season with Washington.
Well, right, but Mitch Johnson was a nobody at that point. I mean, he was. I mean, in the inner circles of
he's on the radar.
Now he's on everybody's radar now, right? So I am of the impression that Mitch Johnson is a hot coaching commodity, especially if he leads this team to a 500 record, 35 wins. He'd be a hot commodity.
Mm-hmm.
The Spurs need to offer him the job because to me, if Charlotte comes knocking on the door, if Detroit comes knocking on the door, he has to take it. He can't be riding the pine for 2 more seasons. He's ready to go.
Well, look what happened to another former assistant coach just this offseason. I forgot his name. Darius Angalia. He left the Spurs coaching ranks because he said there's not going to be any room for me to move because there's too many people ahead of him. And at that time, Popovich was fine. And he was saying, like, Pop ain't going anywhere at that, I might do this at this offseason. So you're seeing that too. I don't think the Spurs will let Mitch go. I think the biggest nod to that is the fact that they let him be the head coach, not Brett Brown, who's been there, done that, has coached a generational big in Philadelphia and has led Philadelphia to playoff berth. So if they had put Brett, then yeah, maybe I could see Mitch really possibly leaving or still working his way up. But the fact that they put him front and center, that just tells you a lot. In my opinion, if Pop does not come back, I think it's Mitch's job to lose.
So Vane Stain reaches out to us on our YouTube stream and says, Mike, why would Mitch leave, though? This is his chance to inherit a team that will be a championship contender after several years. Couple of things. There are only, 30 positions in the NBA for head coaching, right? And when you're offered one, you take one. And Joe and I had a conversation privately about the Spurs. We have not only conversations, on the show, but we talk privately as well.
Yeah.
One of the things I mentioned was primetime, Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
Deion Sanders coaches at Colorado. You know why? Because it was the only Power 5 school to offer him a job. If he had been offered a job by Oregon State, by Indiana, by Iowa, he would have taken it. Mm-hmm. Because there are only so many Power 5 positions available, and they don't pop up very often. So if an NBA team comes around, Mitch Johnson, and says, we're going to offer you a 4-year deal with the Detroit Pistons, with the Atlanta Hawks, with the Charlotte Hornets, with the New Orleans Pelicans, he's going to take it. And it's not because anything else other than that's the right thing to do for your career. To sit around and hope that you're going to inherit a team, well, let's name all the people who hoped to inherit this team in the past. Mike Budenholzer thought he was going to inherit it. Will Hardy had a maybe Becky Hammond thought she had a chance to inherit it. Ime Udoka. There's been a long line of people.
Different circumstances too. In those situations, you're right. But at this point of the Spurs rebuild, Mitch, it seems to be their guy. It seems to be their guy moving forward.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, and I think it's going to happen. But Mike, I'm telling you again, you're not in that locker room like I am. You're not in those press conferences like I am. I'm telling you right now, this is coaching by committee. Mitch is still.
Well, let me ask you this: Is it coaching by committee? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Is it coaching by committee during the game?
Yes. They collab with one another.
I don't know.
Yes.
Of course, coaches collab. That's the whole point of having several coaches on the team. But what I'm saying is that one of them has to be the leader of the coaching group. It's not like it's a democracy over there. The buck stops with somebody, and the buck is stopping with Mitch Johnson.
Yes, and I'll tell you right now, he's with Mitch though. He needs that support system right now. He's still like I said, he's a rookie head coach. He's a rookie head coach. He's made some mistakes. I think there's.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
He said he's.
I lost you there.
He's still a rookie head coach, and he needs that support system. Now, yes, ultimately he has to make a decision. You're right. The buck does stop with him. However, he's not at the level of Pop yet, where he can just bypass that whole system and say, "I'm going to make the call. I don't need to hear what you have to say." Matt Nielsen, or at that time, Mitch Johnson. He still leans on them. And overall, though, Jimenez, I'm agree with you. I think it is his job to lose. It's his. I don't think the Spurs want to see another young coach leave. Look, it's not just a rebuild of players; it's a rebuild of coaching staff. Because whether Pop got sick or not, they're still going to have to cross that bridge eventually, and it was coming soon. Maybe that bridge just fell right now, and they have to address it. And we always said if they're going to hire, they may hire internally. Well, there's Mitch. He's not completely a rookie. He's worked on Team USA. He's been in Austin Spurs system. He's been with Pop system for how many years already? So, his time is shining. Right now, he is shining.
Talking to Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs and Ken's 5. You can follow him at Jeff G Spurs Zone. More than 5,500 subscribers on YouTube. Congratulations on that, Jeff. We had a conversation, me and Joe, earlier, and thank you for bringing your knowledge.
I see your comment right now. Sam Salinas saying not buying the coaching by committee during the game. It's not during the game. Like, in other words, Matt Nielsen is coming out on the sidelines and making the call. No, they definitely communicate with one another.
And Jeff, what I was trying to say is there's an alpha in the coaching room at some point. And during the game, they're giving the keys to the car to Mitch Johnson. Every single head coach, Greg Popovich included, relies on their assistant coaches. And it's a collaborative effort every way. Because if you're going to say that Mitch Johnson is coaching by committee, all coaches coach by committee somehow, some way. Right? They relied on Ime, they relied on Becky, they relied on all these coaches over the years. Chip Anglin back in the day. You rely on your assistant coaches for things, but during the game, there's only one person making decisions. And Mitch Johnson is doing a fantastic job making those decisions. My favorite thing that he does is that he stops the other team from going on a run because he calls timeouts when the other team's on a 4-0 run. Pop will let that go to a 10-0 run, and it pissed me off. And so many Spurs fans have privately reached out to me in person and in public, person and in DMs, going, "Hey man, I like what he's doing there with those timeouts." Which we were talking earlier, Jeff. And I don't know if you caught this part of the show. We're talking about the fact that we believe, Joe and I, that there are 3 starters on this team that are set in stone. Right? Set in stone. That's Wemby, that's CP3, that's Harrison Barnes. Like, they're the 3 starters of this team. 2 months from now, let's say the Spurs are 100% healthy. You got 2 starting positions available. You got Sochan, Vassell, Champagny, and Castle. You're the coach, Jeff.
Yeah.
Pick the 2 you want to start.
Pick the 2 I want to start. As much as many people want to point to Champagny going to the bench, I think you got to keep him out there because he's a spacer. That guy can make some space. So you got Sochan coming back, and then Vassell. Well, Vassell's coming back tonight. He's making his return. I think tonight he'll probably be on a minutes restriction and coming off that bench. Eventually, if he does shake things up, yeah. I think you're gonna have to move Castle to the bench.
Hey, I got an incoming chat here from one of our good friends of the show here, good friend of mine, Steady, with the Countdown City Geeks. Thank you for your comment here. He says, "I knew the vets would help out this team eventually, but I didn't see it happening this soon. I expected the learning curve to take longer." And I think that's one of the things that we as Spurs fans need to give credit to.
Sorry, I'm laughing I'm sorry, I'm laughing what Mexican Junior had to say. It says Mike has so many secret DMs that will never come to light. No, but I mean, think about it, Jimenez. Anybody can say that. I'm going to make it up right now too. Hey, you know what? I have so many secret DMs with the Spurs coaching staff. Let me tell you.
No, but I can
do it. It's funny. It's funny. Last night. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
I was just saying that the addition of the veterans, Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes, is actually paying off for the San Antonio Spurs, because it seems like, quite honestly, this was the missing piece to the puzzle here, that the Spurs needed some leadership out there on the court. And now that they have it in Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes, you're seeing that come to fruition, that the team is noticeably better, and they're able to go ahead and close out games and come back from double deficits, when they're down by 20 points, 10 points, what have you, because of the leadership of these veterans.
Yeah, you know what? Champagny summed it up pretty nicely after the win versus Utah. Basically, he said, in sum, it's maturity and 2 vets on the team. And that's pretty much it right there. That's it. This team has matured. They're for the most part, most of them have come back and stayed together from last year's team. Not a complete running it back, but almost to it. Champagny, Sochan, Keldon, Vassell, Wemby, Malachi, Blake, Trey. For the most part, Mamu. It's pretty much the same team. So you bring their experience. They got clobbered left and right last season. Learn some valuable lessons. Now you throw in Barnes and CP3 out there. Yeah, that makes a world of difference. So basically, that's what we're seeing, everybody. We're seeing these young Spurs growing before our eyes.
So ESPN just right now, by the way, released its NBA power rankings as of today.
Where the Spurs
and 30 teams in the NBA, 30 teams in the NBA. They have the Spurs ranked number 15 in their power rankings, up 2 spots from 17 last week. Here's what ESPN had to say. It says, quote, "Following the vets is the way to go. Last season, San Antonio didn't tally its first 3-game winning streak until March. The Spurs are currently riding a 4-game streak after defeating the Jazz on Tuesday. Credit veterans Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes for teaching the young Spurs consistency, execution when the stakes are highest. San Antonio is a top 10 team in clutch time in terms of win percentage after finishing the season 13-28 last year in clutch games. Wemby is back after a 3-game absence, while Vassell appears closer to a return."
Yeah.
So there's an understanding that a lot of this is veteran leadership. A lot of veteran play out the Harrison Barnes,
Well,
man.
the good news is you want to talk about development, Jimenez, is this. Chris Paul has already come out and said that the younger Spurs are already starting to not rely on them too much anymore. That's a good sign.
Yeah.
That's a good sign.
Hey, Jeff,
So people are still coming
quick because we've been talking about Coach Pop. We've been talking about the players and how much better the team is and whatnot. Mike's talking about Mitch and Pop and all that. But one thing that we haven't discussed, and I wanted to ask you, Jeff, what do you think the instrumental piece here has been to the Spurs going on this 4-game win streak? Because let's be perfectly honest, Jeff, we've been covering the Spurs and watching the team play for many years. And it's been a long time since the Spurs have had a 4-game winning streak, and they've looked this good. What do you attribute that to?
Oh, man, I said a little while ago what Champagne said, maturity and having vets. There's that. And also, to one another. I think that mentality has been infectious with this team right now. They don't want to go out there and disappoint in any of their teammates, and you're seeing that on the court and also their defense. Now, I also like the fact that they're coming out, not laying down and dying. How many times we see that last year? They got clobbered, and then they couldn't recover. They couldn't shake it off. Now you're seeing them get clobbered and shaking it off and getting W's. As the Warriors, as the Jazz. So overall, I'm seeing maturity, vet presence, lessons learned from last year and a little bit this year. Improved play from Sochan pre-injury, improved play from Champagne. He's now being a legit threat for the Spurs to create that floor spacing for Wemby. You got Wesley, who's just really looking very good out there. And, of course, the play of the rookie, Stefon Castle. You put that all together, I think this is what you're seeing. What's staggering is this. There's stats out there on the Spurs in the last 5 games, their second half numbers. It's insane. Yeah. They rank in the first percentile of net rating, like a plus 20.
And Jeff, remember
net
how
bad in the last 5 net rating, the defensive and offensive rating combined, a plus 20 in second halves in the last 5 games.
Yeah, I was going to say, Jeff, remember how bad their third quarters used to be? Like the third quarter was the Achilles heel of this team. The wheels would come off. That has not been the case this season. Like you were saying, in that second half, I mean, they've just been playing really solid basketball coming out and even getting themselves back into games that they've been down 20 points or 13, 14 points. And
also you're seeing a bigger commitment to defense this year. I mean, huge. I mean, sure, it helps having Wemby and now I guess Castle emerging. Again, ask Steph Curry about Castle's defense.
Yeah, Gregory Castillo here. He put a comment in here, Jeff. He says that he attributes the new streak here to the new starting lineup.
Sure, put it out there. Again, what you have floor spacing with Champagne. You have Wemby being Wemby. You have Castle being a legit two-way threat right now in the last 4 games. Castle said it himself yesterday. He said it's pretty obvious why they're winning these last 4. It's defense, and that's pretty what it comes up to. It's just
it's hasn't been defense, Jeff. It's been their free throw shooting. If you look in the last the last couple of games here that they've won, they've been able to get to the stripe because of their aggressive play, and not only that, but they've been able to knock down their free throws. And in some of these closer games, the free throws are going to be instrumental, I think, in pushing them beyond that 4-game win streak. They could go 5 or 6 games if they keep shooting the ball well from the stripe.
You're gonna say Jimenez?
Go ahead, Mike.
I like exactly what Joe was saying, that it's the little things, man. It's cleaning up the turnovers a little bit. It's the free throws. One thing I asked you the question earlier about like who's going to start for this team when the team is fully healthy, and we got a comment a few minutes ago from somebody, Gregory Castillo. Welcome to the show. Saying that it's the Spurs lineup, and I'm looking at the stats right now. Stefon Castle. Stefon Castle has started 11 games for the Spurs, and the Spurs have done well in those 11 games. He has had double figures in points 10 games in a row, averaging 16.1 points per game in that 10-game span. You can't take Castle out of the lineup anymore. And as much as we love Vassell, as much as we love Sochan, the fact of the matter is that there's 2 stars on this team, and it ain't Vassell and it ain't Sochan. The stars on this team are Wemby and Castle, and that's it.
But those are the Mitch Johnson. Mitch Johnson flat out said last night after the win that the second unit is becoming a weapon for them. Now
Yeah.
imagine if it's bolstered with a healthy Sochan and a healthy Vassell.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing.
But I think I might see a return to what the projected starting lineup was. My only thing is that if they goes to that, I would like to see Champagne stay there because he's a floor spacer. If they go with that, what there was projected to be the starting five to start opening night, there's not much floor spacing with that.
Jeff,
By the way, NBA.com just released its rookie ladder.
Yeah.
Where do you think they have Castle?
Top 5.
There was 6 last week. Where do you think he is now? Give me a number.
5.
NBA.com now lists Stefon Castle as the second best rookie in the NBA right now.
There it is.
Behind Jared McCain. This just got posted 30 minutes ago. It says this is what NBA.com had to say about Stefon Castle. It says, quote, "It's cute to hear one 20-year-old praising another 20-year-old for his maturity." Talking about Wemby praising Castle for being a mature player out there. And they're saying that the Spurs rely on him more. It's a big climb this week. But the Spurs are posting numbers and the Spurs are winning games. And therefore, the stock of Castle goes up. And Joe and I had this conversation before the show started. You know, the other person that's in the mix for potentially for rookie of the year is Jared McCain, right? Jared McCain plays for the 76ers, averaging 16.6 points per game, which is great, right? But he's averaging 16 points per game on a team that might be 40 games under 500. If Castle is a starter for 60, 70 games on a team that goes 500, makes the play-in tournament, and is averaging 13, 14 points per game, I think that is more impressive than starring for a team that is 40 games under 500 that, you know, somebody had to score, you know. I think Castle has a legit chance of winning Rookie of the Year, and I think as time goes on, I think come February or so, something is going to happen. There's going to be a play. We saw this last year when Wemby blocked Chet Holmgren. There was that iconic play, took his soul.
Yeah.
I think that Castle's going to have a play like that. It could be a dunk. It could be a block on a superstar. Maybe he stuffs living crap out of Luka. Maybe he blocks something's going to happen where everyone's going to pay attention and go, wait a minute, that guy is the Rookie of the Year.
Hey, he did block Shy near the end of the game when they had
under the basket.
Yeah. Hey, you know what I was going to say? I saw this yesterday, and I saw Stefon Castle maturing, and it was funny to see because there was a play where the Spurs were coming up the court, and right beyond the arc, right, you have Zach Collins setting up, and he's looking straight at Stefon Castle, and he's going like this with his hands. Give me the ball, give me the ball, give me the ball. And Stefon Castle looks right over him, and he just ignored him, and he's like, no, I got this, fool. And immediately he goes and makes his move to the basket. He's aggressive, easy layup, 2 points. If he would have passed that to Collins, he would have bricked the shit out of the ball. You know, so to me, that's maturity right there. He's like, why am I going to give you the ball? You're not even You're not in position. You're not doing anything right now that's going to be conducive to getting a good shot. The lane's wide open. I can see that because the kid has good court vision. And he's like, they can't hold me. So I'm going to go ahead and get an easy deuce. Sure enough, he did. He's making the right decisions at the right time, man. Zach Collins is still booty crumbs, in my opinion.
Jeff Garcia, imagine if the Spurs had 2 Rookies of the Year. Someone's asking the question, has any team ever gone back-to-back with Rookie of the Years? I don't think that's ever happened.
So. Yeah, I don't think that's ever happened.
No, it did happen. 2014-15 season and the 2015-16 season. Minnesota Timberwolves had Andrew Wiggins win it and then Karl Anthony Towns.
Well, I was gonna for some reason I was gonna guess Shaq and Penny in Orlando, but they weren't. Were they back-to-back rookies? Like rookie one year, then Shaq and Penny. Did they win it like that? I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it was one season, the other one at the previous season.
Okay.
Yeah.
But regardless,
So
the Spurs will be if that happens. That'll be a rare error for the Spurs.
Leha, Zach is a 3-pack of ass. Have you talked to Zach Collins though? Have you talked to him after games or anything, Jeff?
No, I haven't had the chance yet. But I do see him in the locker room. He's not hanging his head down. He's very alive. He's talking with the guys. He's cutting it up with them. And let me tell you, speaking of the locker room, I wish all Spurs fans can experience locker room Keldon Johnson. It is something to behold. When they say that he is energy, he doesn't stop. He just doesn't stop, guys. And he sounds like that kid in class that wants attention. Like, me, pick me, teacher, pick me. Like, we can be talking to Malachi Branham, and then he's listening in, and Keldon is like, hey, you didn't say that, Malachi, did you? And Malachi looks at him and starts laughing. And he'll ask the media questions. He's asked us, he goes, do y'all hang out with each other? Do y'all go out and party? Like, he's so curious. He talks about his travels to Japan or China, excuse me, when he's with his brand. He talks about what he's going to do. He's such a cut up, and he keeps that locker room light. He keeps that locker room fun. I mean, it is an experience. And another experience, too, is just Mamu. Mamu is an experience to watch in the locker room because
he's fun.
Because he makes fun of himself, but he's self-deprecating, but he's just funny about it. For example, we can be all there waiting to talk to Keldon. So, for example, and Mama will see us waiting for Keldon, and he'll look at all of us. He'll be quiet. Then he goes, "What? Nobody wants to talk to me?" Keldon will, like, let's just say Mike Jimenez had a good game, and Mike comes out of the locker room. He's going to his locker. He'll just stare at Mike Jimenez and go, "What? Y'all don't want to talk to Jimenez? Go talk to him. Go talk to him. He had a game." Like he did that with Charles Bassey, and then he picked on Bassey recently, saying, "Hey, you had a good game. Don't be surprised if the NBA goes drug test you." So,
yeah.
So it is. I mean, Keldon really is just a light in that locker room. It is so much fun.
We got another incoming.
We got a super chat.
Yep, $5.47 from the Drew Show. He says
donation.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mike. Read it.
Oh, sorry. He says, I'll say it. Trey Jones is challenging Zach Collins for Booty Crumb's position on the team. At least Bryn Forbes could shoot. Wow. Nobody should lose playing time to Trey Jones. End quote.
Please, bro.
Yeah, to answer Tim Gonzalez's question, I would have to say pumpkin pie.
The pumpkin.
Okay, you know what? Okay, are we going to have this conversation now? Do you want to have a Thanksgiving conversation? Because that's what, tomorrow?
It is, man. What's your go-to meal, Michael? What is your favorite thing that you got to have at Thanksgiving dinner?
You know what? It's funny because I never eat it at any point of this year. But for some reason, dude, I just love having stuffing for Thanksgiving. Like the along with the turkey. Good stuff. Dessert-wise, though, two things. I love me some pumpkin pie with a crap ton of whipped cream on it. I mean, I want more whipped cream than actual pie. And on top of that, my mom makes this Watergate salad. I don't know if you've ever heard of that before. But it's kind of like a Jell-O with marshmallows and nuts and all that stuff in there.
But did you say Watergate salad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never heard of that.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
My question is, who invited cranberry sauce? Like, who invited them, man? Like, who invited that item to the table?
Are people looking it up? It is a thing.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Hey, Joe, I was going to ask you. So the Spurs recently had a contest between timeouts with fans asking to give, like, top 5 Thanksgiving items that you see on the table. Your traditional mashed potatoes, corn, turkey, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Would you, can you say tamales?
Hey, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah,
you can't have it tamales. You have to have tamales. If you're in a Mexican household, you have to have your tamales, dude, at Thanksgiving. No lies detected.
But is it part of a traditional Thanksgiving meal?
It is. It is part of your well, for Mike's too.
Yeah, Mike's not going to have that on his plate.
For them. Yeah, it's too ethnic. It's too ethnic. Now I have my. my tamale intake is massive between Christmas and New Year's. Like what? Pause. like what? Like that one week period there. I have a lot of tamales, dude. Christmas Eve, New Year's Day. But the idea of having tamales at any other part of the season other than December and January 1. Just don't feel it, man.
You can't
don't
go
feel
in there and order from the tamale people. They speak nothing but Spanish. ¿Qué tantos quieren? Docenas, this and that. They're asking you how many dozens you want. It's
Mike would have to lean on me to talk Spanish with them in those things.
You don't know the
language. No, I just point. Boil. Okay, let me ask you this, Joe. Joe, here's the thing about tamales. Here's my hot take about tamales. Pork tamales are ass.
No,
They're ass.
dude.
God,
Pork
damn it.
tamales are ass. But you know what?
No.
The chicken ones, the
No.
bean and cheese ones,
No, no wonder why you get the Mexican card pulled.
the what's it called? The green salsa ones. Oh my god, dude, those are good. The pork ones, they're kind of basic, man. They're kind of basic. I just got
Joe,
tired of them over the
handle
years.
him. Handle your co-host here.
I mean, that's where you going to get those, man.
Doesn't matter if it's Delia's or the places on Culebra Road,
Where you
dude. It doesn't
getting that
matter.
Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, dude, for real.
Do they have the tamales at Cracker Barrel?
You order
That'd
some
be awesome if they did.
the Las Palapas tamales, dude. Come on, man.
Dude, it's ass, dude. The best tamales are the ones that are not pork. You gotta have. I'm not saying that okay, first of all, I'm not saying that I don't like tamales because I do like tamales. What I'm saying is I like the different flavored tamales. I don't like the basic one that everyone eats.
You're gonna be the guy that they invite to Thanksgiving dinner, and you're gonna show up with
No,
a white person dish, man. Like
Jimenez's picks are the sugar tamales.
Sure.
What are sugar tamales? Is that a thing?
It is.
Is deep fried tamales a thing also? Is it
Yeah.
like the tech?
It's like it's a dessert tamale.
You know what,
Interesting.
man? My Mexican Junior says pork tamales are awesome, especially with the spicy ones. Jimenez eating those tamales from Walmart.
No, we get them from delicious tamales on the west side.
Tamale right here off of Marbach is legit, bro. I ain't gonna lie, man.
Dude, no, I like some of the tamales. The ones that are not pork. I like the other ones.
We got a $2 super chatting coming from the Drew Show. He says chancla for saying pork tamales is ass, so white. So he's
Yeah, that
paying
is very white, man. That's
Okay, you're
very
gonna
white.
chanclazo. Yeah, man. Mike's just showing his true colors, Jeff, right there.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. He buys them from Cracker Barrel.
He probably does.
That's where he gets it. That's where he gets his tamales from, Cracker Barrel.
You have tell me, Jeff, you know this is a fact, right? If you have to go and get your tamales from a store or whatever, it's all right, depending on where you're getting them from. But the legit tamales are the ones you get from people selling them from the parking lot or on the corner of the street,
corner of the street, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, or grandma makes them, something like that, you know.
Or a friend of a friend. Hey, my friend is making tamales. You want to buy a dozen tamales?
Jimenez gets them from his neighbor, and that neighbor is John Smith.
Chris Gonzalez said I put raisins in tamales. Okay. Now here's the thing about it. Maybe, just maybe, it's not the pork tamales. I just don't like pulled pork or the shredded pork. I can't stand it. I don't care if it's a pulled pork sandwich. I just don't like pork. I like bacon, which I guess is a type of pork, but I don't like pulled pork. And isn't that what they have in tamales? A shredded pork?
Yeah,
it's
chunks, but yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah, dude.
I no me gusto.
It's the head of the,
Did he just say no me gusto?
No me gusto. Yeah,
You're
getting that meat from the head of the pig or whatever.
My no sabo Spanish right there.
Yeah. Hey Jeff, I gotta ask you, man.
Yeah.
Before we go ahead and let you go here, how many of those little rolls you're gonna eat, dude? Those.
Oh man, yeah, those things are awesome, man. They come out of the oven, nice and warm. Put a little butter on it. It's game. I'm gonna have to work out before I go to my family's Thanksgiving meal, and then afterwards, seriously, because
you're gonna consume like 3,000 calories.
I know, man. You can't. I'm gonna have to go to the workout before I leave. Before I go to my family's.
You're gonna get the meat sweats, Jeff.
The meat sweats, everything. The knock. And then I got. Everybody has that one uncle that, if you don't have alcohol in your hand, it's like a travesty. So I got to worry about that.
They're gonna give you some tequila. They're gonna give you something.
Yeah, they're gonna give you the tequila, or just whatever. We're gonna have it at my cousin's house, and her and her husband, they have a full bar stashed with just liquor and alcohol. So I'm gonna walk it in. I know my uncle's gonna be like, "Here, what's your poison? Beer or liquor?" I'm gonna go with the liquor.
Go with the liquor, man.
Yeah,
So
I'm gonna go with the liquor. Yeah.
Sam Salinas asking if we're going to do a Thanksgiving morning 5K run. Anyone? I am.
Oh, not me.
I'm going to be running tomorrow. 5K tomorrow.
Hey, Jimenez,
tomorrow.
Streets are saying that you still can beat Leja in a race, and you got more speed than him.
Well, December 8th, I'm going to be doing a half marathon. So if he wants to beat my time, he can beat my time.
Are you calling out Leha right now?
Yes. Remember,
If my legs are up for it, I'm gonna run that half marathon, baby.
Calling out Leha right now. Wow. Publicly on YouTube.
December 8th, you know where I'll be downtown running 13.1.
And now you're giving him a spot and location where to meet him.
Remember
8 a.m. baby. 8 a.m.
You're calling him out, man.
Yep, he's calling Leha out. We got it on tape. Remember what he says, Jeff. What does he say all the time? I'm sneaky athletic, right?
Yeah.
That's what he says. Those are his exact words.
By the way, I'm looking at the Delicious Tamales menu. Their 3 best sellers are number 1, pork tamales, number 2, chicken, and number 3, jalapeno bean. See, I'd be all about the chicken and jalapeno bean one. See, I'm not saying that I don't like tamales. I'm just saying I don't like the pork ones. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? I like tamales.
Look what Mexican Jr. says, Jeff. We need to do a pickup b-ball game going over the holidays so we can see those Jimenez point guard skills.
That's right. Yeah, listen up, everybody. Listen up. Okay, so this is just in sum what Jimenez has done this week, and then a little extra from overall. He's taking credit for getting a Spurs jersey retired for a Spurs player. Okay,
I've done that before. Yeah,
I see. There he is. Okay, he's tripled down on Leha today, calling him out, saying he's faster and can outpace him and run him in a marathon.
Athletic. Yeah.
Okay, more athletic. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Apparently, because he's at games and sits from his seat at the Frost Center, he knows exactly what Mitch Johnson is doing and the coaching staff. So there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, there is that. All right. And according to Jimenez,
I'm glad that you listen.
And according to Jimenez, he dated a stripper.
More
unknowingly.
Maybe more than one.
No, just one unknowingly though.
That's not what
unknowingly. Homegirl was from Giorgio's. She was for the streets apparently, and I did not know. I did not know. Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs, Kansas 5. What are you working on today, my man?
Well, gonna try to clean up some stuff before the Thanksgiving break. So we have Locked On Spurs coming up next in about 30 minutes, or actually now I think. So I got
today.
Timer. I'm sorry. Say again.
Who's your guest today?
Oh yeah, guest today is AP sports writer Raul Dominguez.
Okay,
so he's joining me today. We're going to be discussing what happened in Utah and then the second half Spurs and look at tonight's game, Spurs Lakers. Then we got a game preview for you coming up later on today. So just keep an eye out on the X at Jeff G Spurs Zone, Kens5.com/Spurs. And then obviously subscribe to Locked On Spurs. Hey, we got a newsletter too. So subscribe to the Locked On Spurs newsletter. It's completely free. Sign up, click, you're in. Bing, bang, boom, you're done. You get your email every single day. Well, when we have it, Monday to Friday. So appreciate it, guys. Sorry for the delay, man. I just caught up here at work, man. I got to go.
Chris Gonzalez, which is out. Hey, later on, man. Happy Thanksgiving, brother.
No, yeah. Oh, yeah, I see. That's it. Yeah. You're 1-0 in fights. Yeah, I see. Okay. Yeah. And on that note, I'm going to
go. For the record, as Jeff leaves, for the record, I never said that Mitch Johnson was on an island coaching by himself. Obviously, he has a staff with him because that's what a coaching staff is. But during the game, was what I'm saying, the X's and O's during the game, that is all Mitch Johnson. You know that's the case. Okay? That is true. He's not wearing an earpiece. Pop is not sending signals to him through his ear. During the game, which is what we all see, he is coaching the game, and he's doing a fantastic job at doing that. If Brett Brown was coaching this team, probably be a little bit different, right? Pop coaching his team, be a little bit different. But during the game, from 8 p.m. Central yesterday to 10:45 Central yesterday when they were playing, Mitch Johnson was in control of that team. He's doing a fantastic job, and they're playing well for him. I'm super excited for the Spurs this season. 10-8, 4 in a row.
Yeah, one thing that we got to do here as we start bringing the show to a close here is we got to go ahead and spin the wheel, man, since we went ahead and promised the people that we're going to have some giveaways. So here we go with you guys watching us live. We're going to go ahead and spin the wheel. Let's see who wins the prize today. P.F. Chang's gift card is on the docket. Bear County Social Apparel is the winner of the 25 Chang's gift card. So congratulations to them. We'll go ahead and get in contact with them via the X. So thank you for everybody who's been watching the show, because again, we are going to reward you guys for watching us and supporting us. So thank you so much for all your support, comments, super chats, giving us a like. We'd appreciate if you can give the show a like on your way out here. We greatly appreciate the support. It helps the show grow. And before we go ahead and bring the show to an end, we got to go ahead and give some love to our sponsors. Mike, you're going to be up first, my friend. Here's the number.
210-508-0369. Need help with financial things such as investments, insurances, things like that. I don't care if it's life insurance, disability insurance, retirement accounts, college savings. I've been doing this for 19 years. Give me a call, 210-508-0369.
Make sure you call Mike for all your investment needs. And he also goes ahead and does a little bit of life insurance too. So if you have questions in regards to that, make sure you give Mike a call at 210-508-0369. And let's go ahead and give some love to our other sponsors, including Jeff Garcia, who we just went ahead and let go because he has things to do. And he has a new episode of Locked On Spurs coming out after the show, so make sure you check that out. Locked On Spurs is your daily Spurs podcast, hosted by Jeff Garcia, the lead Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Jeff has a healthy plethora of guests all the time on the Locked On Spurs podcast. You can also follow Jeff on threads at Jeff G Ken's 5 SA. You can also follow Jeff on Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone. So make sure you go ahead and give Jeff a follow not only on threads and Twitter, but also on YouTube at youtube.com/@Locked On Spurs. This is where you're going to be able to find the replay of the Locked On Spurs podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share. And also, on the way out here, we're going to give a big shout out to our sponsor here that's been here from the beginning as well, MCS General Contracting. Make sure you go ahead and give them a call for all your contracting needs. MCS General Contracting, more than 30 years of combined experience in concrete placement. They are the best in the business, honest pricing, high quality work. They get going on house foundations, driveways, concrete patio decks. If you want to extend the deck, extend the driveway. If you're a business and you need to put together a slab, a parking lot, or other concrete placement services or sidewalks, reach out to MCS General Contracting at 210-774-9155. They're confident in their skills, so give Chris Leha over at MCS General Contracting a call at 210-774-9155. And thank you for being a sponsor of this show. Mike, that's about all the time we have for today's episode. You want to sign us off, my friend? Anything in closing?
Yeah, well, did we get that super chat in from Sam Salinas?
Let me go ahead and get that up. Give me a second. I'll bring that up right now. There we are. Sam Salinas coming in with the $5 super chat saying, "Happy Thanksgiving to everyone here. Be safe. Have fun. Go Spurs." And he puts COYS.
Tomorrow is the Turkey Trot downtown. I believe it benefits the San Antonio Food Bank. I'll be out there doing my 5K tomorrow. I haven't been running a lot lately. I've been doing a lot of refereeing. That's my running. So hopefully I do well. If I do well enough and I feel up to it, I'll sign up for the Rock and Roll Half Marathon on December 8th. But Joe, everyone have a fantastic Thanksgiving. Jeff Garcia, thank you for being on the show. Joe, you and your family, man, hope you have a great holiday. I'm going to have my kids with me tomorrow, which is fantastic. I'm thankful for my family, for my friends, for my kids, for this podcast, for my business doing so well. I'm thankful for a lot, grateful for a lot. Going to look forward to tomorrow. Going to look forward to this week. Lots of positivity, man. This time last year, I was down in the dumps, man. And this year, I'm doing fantastic. And I appreciate all the people who are, Sam Salinas, Midtown, Mario, Alex, Matthew, Sean, Lerma, Laura Latin, all the people who have been on there, Henry, Spernandez, Matt Gomez, Drew Show, all of you guys, as we're going through the list of people, Mexican Jr., Tim Gonzalez, thank you so much for being part of this. Progressive, all of you guys for being part of the show. Chris Gonzalez, all of you have been instrumental with the show. Hit the like button on the way out. We hope everyone has a safe Thanksgiving. Know a lot of people drink Thanksgiving Eve and Thanksgiving night. Uber and Lyft are your friends. Say it with me. Uber and Lyft are your friends. We will be back next week. Joe, it's always fun, baby. You know what? The Spurs will be on a 6-game winning streak by the time we come back.
True enough, man. But we're out. We'll see you boys on Friday. There is no show on Thanksgiving Day or on Friday, should I say. We're going to see you guys on Monday next week. So we're out. Peace.
Peace.